Hi everyone, my name is Joshua Fields Millburn from Minimalists.com, and today we're going to talk about something that was really important to me a few years ago, and it's still important to me now because I have so many people that email me and ask me, how did you start your blog? You see, I run a website called Minimalists.com with my best friend of a very long time. His name's Ryan Nicodemus. And we started our blog about 3 years ago, and I can tell you this, it was one of the most important things I've ever done for my creativity. It's one of the most important things I've also done for my writing career. So I get a lot of people, we have a lot of readers. In fact, over the last 3 years, we've amassed a lot of readers. I've got about 2 million readers a year that show up at theminimalists.com. And so in that time, I've learned a lot about blogging. Here's the interesting thing, though. When a friend of mine encouraged me to start a blog 3 years ago, I could hardly spell HTML, let alone figure out how to cobble together a blog that looked beautiful or even looked somewhat pretty. But over time, I figured it out. I failed a lot, and through that failure, I sort of developed a process. And so I'm going to share with you 7 steps that I took to go from A to Z in starting my blog, from start to finish, from having no idea at all how to start a blog to creating a website and uploading content and doing all the things that you need to do on the back end that are actually much easier than you think, because you don't have to be a coder, you don't have to be a designer. I am certainly not either. In fact, I'm not very competent when it comes to either one of those things. What I am competent at doing, though, is following step-by-step recipes. So this is my recipe for starting a blog. Let's go ahead and get started, and I'll talk to you about that. And then afterwards, I'll give you some tips as well that will help you when you first launch your blog and you want to take the next few steps. So let's talk about step 1. That's preparation. By the way, you should be following along. If you're not following along in the actual blog post that has all of these steps in there step by step, make sure you click on that link if you're watching this on YouTube. It's theminimalists.com/WordPress, because we're learning how to set up a WordPress blog. So step 1 is preparation. You're going to need 2 things, about an hour. Actually, it'll take you less than an hour, but if you want to tinker and tweak with a few things, then you're going to need about an hour. So an hour of your time, and you're of course going to want a credit card because it's very inexpensive to start a blog. There are of course some free services that you can use as well. You can use Blogger or Tumblr, but the reason that I use WordPress, and I have a WordPress site, and every single serious blogger that I know uses a WordPress site, is because it's so flexible, and it allows you to be more creative, and it allows you to have more creative control of your website, of your blog, of your design, of all the components that make up your website. So that's why I use WordPress. So step 1 is just be prepared. Make sure you set aside a little bit of time, half hour to an hour, and then make sure you have a credit card or debit card available. Step 2 is getting your domain and setting up your hosting. Your domain is also known as your URL. Mine is theminimalists.com. That's my domain name. And I'm actually going to tell you how to get it for free here. Usually you can buy one for 10 to 13 bucks, but when you sign up for hosting, you actually get a domain for free. Now, I use a company called Bluehost, and the reason I recommend Bluehost, I've got all the reasons here in the blog post if you're reading it, but the reason I use that I recommend Bluehost is that I actually use it. And I think if you're going to recommend something, you should be willing to use it yourself. But not only that, they have just an amazing state-of-the-art data facility. They're incredibly reliable. And best of all, for people who are starting out, their customer service is phenomenal. So if you get stuck on something or you're somewhere in the process and you can't really figure out where to go next or what to do, Bluehost will help you right through it. If you're trying to do a WordPress install, which I have the step-by-step instructions in this blog post, but if you can't figure it out or you get stuck somewhere, the folks at Bluehost will just hop on a chat with you and they'll fix it right away. In fact, that's what I had to do when I first set up the blog. Is I had a few questions, and there were a few things that were in my way, or really I was in my own way, and I had to figure it out, and I just hopped on chat with them, and it was really simple. They're located in the United States. All of their service centers, their data center is all in the United States as well. So you're going to want to sign up for hosting, and you're actually going to get a free domain name through Bluehost when you sign up. There's a special offer on our site. It's $3.95 a month if you just click on the link there, which is really a phenomenal deal. It works for about 99% of bloggers. I've since upgraded to our own. We have a dedicated server now because we get so much traffic. But until just about a year or so ago, we still had tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people showing up every week or every month. A basic hosting service like Bluehost will work very well for you. So that's step 2. You've got all the step-by-step procedures in there. All the screenshots will walk you right through it there on the blog. And then, of course, step 3 is you're going to install WordPress. So you've set up your domain. You have your domain. You have the Minimalists.com or JohnnyJumpUp.com, and so you have your domain. You have your hosting. So you're now paying $3.95 a month to host your domain, host your blog, a place where you're going to be able to upload your site. Well, you're going to want to install WordPress. Now that sounds really intimidating. When I hear those words, install WordPress, I kind of want to head for the hills. I wanted to give up and quit the first time I heard install, because I know nothing about software or hardware. I don't want to install anything. Well, it's something called a one-click install, which is a bit misleading because I think it's actually about 2 clicks. But it's an incredibly simple process. And again, Bluehost is going to walk you completely through that, so you don't have to learn how to install WordPress on your own. Once you've signed up for Bluehost, it's really simple, and it's really free, and it's free as well. So you get all the benefits of WordPress and all the flexibility, and there's no cost for you to have WordPress. It's absolutely free. Step 4 is perhaps your most important step in terms of your design of the site or how your site looks. And this is your theme, selecting your theme. Now, let me explain what a theme is exactly. So WordPress is sort of the foundation. That's the land that you're building your house on, right? So that's what we did in step 3. In step 4, we're taking our house now and we're going to build it. And there's 2 parts to the house here. There's 2 parts to your theme. There is your framework, which I use and recommend Genesis. Really, it's the only framework that works, and I explain why here in the blog post. But there's nothing that is even close to as good as Genesis for your framework. So those are the bones, the structure, the framework of your house. And then there is your child theme. So you have your framework and your child theme. The child theme is sort of the facade of your house, how it looks to people on the outside. And there are a bunch of different child themes for you to choose from. I provide you a link there. We use one that's called the True theme. It's from Spire Media. And so there are literally dozens that you can choose from. You can pick what looks good for you, and then you get to tweak it. I think that's the best part of the design. Having a WordPress blog allows you a lot of flexibility to design your own website the way you envision it to look. In fact, when I showed up and decided I wanted to create a blog, all I had was a vision. I had sketched a few things out, and I am not an artist by any stretch of the imagination, but I had sketched out a few things based on what I saw in my head, what I envisioned in my head. Now, obviously that changed over time, and it continues to change and evolve, but you'll have a vision up front, and then you'll pick a theme that closely resembles or mimics that vision. And then once you pick that theme, you'll be able to adjust it to really make it look the way you want it to look. And that's what your child theme does. Step 5, you're going to install your theme. And it's actually, again, we talked about install being almost a misnomer. And it's the same thing here. It's really easy for you to install your theme. You're going to download it. Once you've purchased it, you download it, and then you click a couple buttons, and it installs onto your WordPress site. So now you have a domain, you're hosting your domain and your website, you have installed WordPress on your domain, and now you've installed your framework and your theme. At this point, you can do all of this within about 20 minutes, and you now have a WordPress blog. Now it's not developed and it's not fully functional yet, but you now have your own WordPress blog, so congratulations on that. I have another funny little video in there. We talk about Genesis, the band, in addition to the framework, so you can take a look at that if you'd like, maybe take a little break. The sixth step, though, is to install plugins. Now, I don't use a ton of plugins on our website. Your theme will usually come with the essential plugins, but there are a few that I recommend here on the website. One of them is Google Analytics. That's so you can track your traffic. You know, it was amazing for me the first month that I started blogging. Like I said, it's one of the best decisions I've ever made. And once I figured out how to track traffic using Google Analytics, which is absolutely free, I found out that 52 people showed up to my website in the first month. 52. And I know that probably sounds unremarkable to you at first, but it was really amazing to me. It was one of the best feelings I've ever felt, because I had spent most of my 20s writing short stories and getting rejected by publishers. And now this was proof that my words were actually resonating with dozens of people. And you know what else was pretty cool? I found out that when you add value to people's lives, people are really willing to spread the word. They're willing to share your message with the people they love, their friends and their family, right? And so 52 readers over time turned into 500, and then it turned into 5,000, and then 500,000. And like I said, last year we had 2 million readers, and we're poised to have even more than that this year, which is just a really phenomenal thing. And we've been featured all over the place, not because we went out and went the traditional route, but because we started a blog and we found ways to add value to people's lives. And in fact, that's what I hope to do here today with this video, is be able to add value to your life. And with this blog post that's accompanying this video, I hope to be able to add value to your life and encourage you to start a blog and really get creative with the creative process. And so we're going to install whatever plugins you want. I've got a list of some in there, and of course you can always add other plugins later. I do recommend to keep it to a minimum. It keeps your site nice and lean and running fast. If you install too many plugins, one of them might have a bug that could slow down your blog. Certainly not guaranteed, but it could happen. So just be careful with that. But you will find some different plugins. You can look here. I'll also have some different links that I'll link to, and you can find plugins, other plugins that you might want to use as well. But basically, plugins are just a way for you to upgrade your theme and add additional functionality to your blog that may not be built into WordPress or to your theme already. We have third-party developers who develop these plugins that you plug in to your website to add that additional functionality. And then my favorite step is step number 7. Step 7 is, I want you to tinker until you're happy. And so at this point, we've spent half an hour, maybe you spent an hour setting up the website. I hope it wasn't that long. It was probably 20 to 30 minutes overall. 30 minutes once you've installed all your plugins. I'd love for you to start playing around with your website. Spend some time on the typography and the font and the font size and how do you want your header to look, and upload pictures of yourself. If I were to give you a few professional tips here, it's definitely when you get an opportunity. You don't have to do this right away, but when you get an opportunity, get a few professional pictures taken. You can get that done relatively inexpensively from a local photographer, and just have some professional photos done. It makes you look more professional and allows people to identify with you better. And it's not a disingenuous thing to do, it's a conscientious thing to do. You want to put your best foot forward when you're presenting yourself to the world. And by getting some professional photos, it allows you to put your best foot forward and communicate what you're trying to communicate, express what you're trying to express with the world. And it certainly adds to the life of your blog. I mean, ultimately, your blog is your web log. It's going to be defined by you. You are what makes your blog unique, ultimately, not the theme you use or the typesetting on your website or whatever. All those things help. They add to your aesthetic, which is really important. But ultimately, it's up to you. You are the person who defines your blog. So I want you to tinker until you're happy. That means you're finding the right place to find photos, and I've got a few links here in the blog post for you where you can get free photos to put onto your website and all your different blog posts. You're going to want to set up an about page about yourself and be honest. The really cool thing about the internet and about blogging is there's 50,000 new blogs are started every single day, and that number's increasing, which is a phenomenal thing. And to me, that's both terrifying for some people, but it's also really exciting. For me, it's the most exciting time that could be to be a writer, is right now. Because you can still go the traditional route and you can still get published traditionally. I have a few books that are published traditionally in several different countries. But I also have books that I publish independently. I publish this blog independently. All the words there are mine and also Ryan's when he writes essays on the website as well. And so for me, it's the most exciting time because you have more options than ever. And the other cool thing is people on the internet can figure out whether or not you're genuine. Maybe not at first. You might be able to fool a lot of people up front. You may be able to fool a lot of people right away with a really sleek design or a slick aesthetic. But when you get down to where the cheese binds, ultimately people will be able to sniff out a fraud. And the people will stick around if you're adding value to their lives, and that's how I've been able to grow a really great audience, a really engaged audience, a lot of great quality readers. That's how I've been able to publish several books and go on a bunch of book tours and do a lot of really cool things, teach writing classes and a whole bunch of stuff, all online, and it all came from this thing called a blog. I'm so happy that I started a blog, and I'm really happy that you've decided to as well. I hope these steps in the blog post have been very helpful for you. I look forward to your journey and watching you grow. Of course, you can always find me on Twitter if you want to let me know that your blog is doing phenomenal or you just started a new blog. My Twitter handle is very simple. It's @JFM. And so I will see you on the internet. Good luck with your blog.